The Israeli election results are in, and it looks as if the outcome will be more of the same. Likud, the party of Benjamin Netanyahu, has emerged as the largest single party and is likely to be at the center of the next governing coalition. Joining me to discuss the results is Roula Khalaf, our foreign editor. So, Roula, I said more of the same. Do you think Netanyahu, again, now for his fourth term as prime minister, do we know now what's going to happen?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I mean, when it comes to Iran, for instance, which is the topic of the moment, since we may soon be getting a nuclear agreement, I think we know exactly where he stands, and I think that this election may very well embolden those in Washington who don't want a deal. I think on the Palestinian issue, it's interesting because Netanyahu's official position has always been he goes forward with negotiations while building settlements, but that at least, rhetorically, he supported the two-state solution. Lately, and as part of his attempts to win this election, he has made clear that he doesn't really support the two-state solution. So I think that could have a different dynamic abroad now, and I think that's the one thing that we will need to watch.
So in a sense, do you think to win the election, he made a pitch to domestic voters that's now going to leave him in trouble internationally?
Well, you recall just a few days ago, Herzog and Zionist Union were ahead in the polls, and yesterday there was quite a sense of panic amongst the Likud, and Netanyahu made a series of controversial statements, even calling on people to go out and vote because Arabs were coming out in droves, and I think that was held up as one of the most controversial things that he's said in a very long time.
He's basically discriminating between Israeli citizens and saying that 20%.
Exactly.
Who are Arabs,
and interestingly, the Arab list this time, the joint list, did very well. And that, in a way, was a reflection of the fact that I think Israeli Arabs have felt more under pressure and more marginalized. So for the first time, they actually got together. They've always been fragmented, so they actually got together, and they did pretty well.
Can they expect, though, to be any factor in Israeli parliament? Because even though the centre-left say they won't do a deal with the Arabs.
No, and I don't think the Arabs would have wanted to be in any case in any coalition. They would have been a lot more significant, I think, had Mr. Herzog won, for instance, because they could have supported him without being in the coalition.
So are we looking essentially at a right-wing coalition with not even really much of a centrist showing in Israel? And does that mean open the possibility of actually more radical right-wing possibilities, more settlements, a more aggressive stance towards the Palestinians?
I think, interestingly, if you look at the vote of the whole right wing, so Likud and the other right-wing parties, I don't think there's been much of a shift, and possibly it's even less, it's even smaller. But I think this will be a more right-wing coalition, and possibly more right-wing than the last one that we've seen.
And where does that leave the Palestinians? I mean, they'll be looking at this. Will they now say, well, there really is no point in pursuing even the sort of option of negotiations, and they'll go for the international route?
The Palestinians have been saying for a long time that there is no Israeli partner for peace.
Which ironically is what the Israelis say about the Palestinians.
Which is exactly what the Israelis have always said about the Palestinians, but less so in the sort of post-Arafat era. I think that now this message may have a lot more resonance going forward. When people think about what do you do next? Do you actually have any kind of new initiative for peace when it is so clear that this is not the path that Israel really wants to go on?
I would guess it would suit Mr. Netanyahu if the outside world doesn't really react to this election, just shrugs its shoulders and continues. But do you think there's a prospect actually of increased international pressure on Israel now because of the intransigent statements that Netanyahu has made during the election?
I think it will depend on what he does next and how he behaves going forward. I would fully expect that he would try to either retract or to mollify a little bit the statements that he made before, which were very much directed to winning the vote. So I think that once all of this will take time. It'll take time to form a coalition, and I think there will be a reaction depending on Netanyahu's actions.
Okay, Roula, thank you very much indeed. We'll leave it there for now.